When your parrot turns its back on you, screams the moment you walk in, or lunges at your hand every single time you reach out, most owners think they have a bad bird. They think something went wrong in training. They blame themselves or they blame the parrot. But the truth is something far more complex and far more fascinating than a simple breakdown in obedience. What you are witnessing is not hatred in the human sense of the word. It is something rooted deep in the parrot's brain, in millions of years of evolutionary programming, in neurochemistry, in flock psychology, and in emotional needs so profound that most humans never even come close to understanding them. Today we are going to change that. Let us start with something that might be uncomfortable to hear. Parrots are not domesticated animals. Not truly. Not in the way dogs and cats have been shaped over thousands of years of selective breeding to tolerate and even seek human company. A parrot, whether it is a small budgie sitting on your finger or a large macaw screaming from across the room, is essentially a wild animal living inside your home. Its brain is wired for a world of dense forests, constant social contact with a flock, and the freedom to fly dozens of miles a day. Every behavior you see, including the ones that look like hatred, makes perfect sense when you understand that wild origin. The first sign that your parrot may be sending you a message of deep discomfort is something called feather posture redirection. When a parrot consistently puffs up its feathers, turns its body away from you, and pulls its head tightly against its neck the moment you approach, most owners interpret this as the bird being cold or sleepy. But if this happens specifically when you enter the room or try to make contact, it is a stress posture. The parrot is making itself look smaller, less visible, less threatening. In flock language, this means withdrawal. It means the bird does not feel safe with you in that moment. The reason behind this behavior goes back to the parrot's amygdala, the fear processing center of the brain, which in parrots is highly sensitive and fires quickly in response to unpredictable stimuli. If your movements are too fast, your voice too loud, or your energy too inconsistent, the parrot's brain literally registers you as a threat. Not because you are dangerous, but because you are unpredictable. And in the wild, unpredictable means dangerous. The second sign is contact call silence. This one is subtle and most owners completely miss it. In the wild, parrots use contact calls constantly. These are short repetitive vocalizations that flock members use to locate each other, to confirm safety, and to maintain emotional connection across distances. When you leave a room, a bonded parrot will call out to you. And when you call back, even with just a simple whistle or your voice, the parrot feels reassured. But when a parrot has decided you are not part of its emotional flock, it stops making those calls toward you. It does not seek your voice. It does not respond when you call. This silence is not peace. It is emotional disconnection. The parrot has essentially removed you from its internal social map. The neurological basis for this is connected to a hormone called mesotocin, which is the avian equivalent of oxytocin in mammals. Mesotocin drives bonding, trust, and social-seeking behavior in parrots. When the bond is broken or was never properly formed, mesotocin release in response to your presence drops significantly. The parrot literally does not feel good around you at the hormonal level. The third sign is something owners find terrifying and often misread as pure aggression. The open beak lunge. When your parrot lunges at you with its beak open, pinning its eyes rapidly, and holding its body low and forward, it is not simply being mean. In parrot psychology, this is a boundary communication. It is the most honest and clear language a parrot has. What it is saying is this: you have crossed a line I drew and you did not listen to the smaller signals I gave you first. The problem is that most owners never learn to read the smaller signals. The slight lean away. The eye pin that starts gently. The feathers that flatten along the head. By the time the lunge happens, the parrot has already been communicating for minutes. It escalated because it was not heard. If your parrot regularly reaches this point with you, it is not proof of hatred. It is proof of a communication gap that has been building for a long time and has now reached a critical point. The fourth sign is screaming that targets you specifically. Not general screaming, not the morning contact call chorus that many parrots do naturally, but screaming that intensifies when you enter the room, when you approach the cage, or when you try to interact. This kind of vocalization is rooted in frustration and anxiety. Parrots in the wild are never isolated. They are surrounded by flock members at almost all times. Their nervous systems are literally not built for prolonged social isolation or for the emotional confusion of living with a being who does not speak their language. When a parrot screams at you specifically, it may be expressing one of two things. Either it is so emotionally dysregulated around you that vocalization is its only outlet, or it has learned through past experience that screaming at you produces a reaction, any reaction, because any reaction feels better than being ignored. Both of these are signals that the emotional relationship between you and your bird needs serious rebuilding. The fifth sign is refusal to eat in your presence. This one is deeply telling. Parrots are prey animals. Eating is a vulnerable act. In the wild, parrots choose very specific locations and social conditions to eat safely. They do not eat in the presence of perceived threats. If your parrot stops eating, moves away from its food dish, or visibly waits until you leave the room before resuming eating, this is a profound signal of perceived threat. You represent something unsafe to that bird at a deep instinctual level. The hypothalamus, which governs both stress responses and appetite regulation in birds, is suppressing normal feeding behavior because the stress system is activated. This is not a minor behavioral quirk. This is a sign that the bird's baseline stress level in your presence is genuinely elevated and has been for some time. The sixth sign is perhaps the most heartbreaking of all. It is when your parrot bonds intensely with one person in the household and treats you specifically with indifference or hostility. Parrots form pair bonds. This is not a metaphor. In the wild, most parrot species mate for life. They choose one individual with whom they share food, groom, sleep beside, and call to across distances. When a parrot is kept in a human home, it transfers this pair bonding drive onto a human. It cannot help this. Its brain is designed to need a primary bond. If that bond is formed with someone else in your home, the parrot may perceive you not as a neutral party but as a rival. Its hormonal system, particularly during breeding season when testosterone and estrogen fluctuate significantly, will amplify this perception dramatically. What looks like the parrot hating you may actually be the parrot protecting its bond with someone else. So what do you actually do with all of this? The answer is not training in the conventional sense. It is not about teaching commands or using treats as bribes. The path back to connection with a parrot that has withdrawn from you is about becoming predictable, calm, and emotionally fluent in their language. It starts with slowing everything down. Your movements. Your voice. Your expectations. Sit near the cage without approaching. Read aloud in a quiet voice. Let the parrot hear you without feeling pressure. Over days and weeks, you are essentially reintroducing yourself as a safe presence, the way you might approach a wild animal in a forest. Next, learn to respond to contact calls. When your parrot vocalizes, call back. Not loudly, not with excitement, but with a calm, steady whistle or phrase. You are teaching the parrot that you speak its language, that you hear it, that you are safe enough to communicate with. This single practice can begin rebuilding mesotocin-driven bonding responses over time. And finally, stop trying to force physical contact. The lunge, the bite, the feather posture, all of it escalates when humans push physical interaction before emotional safety is established. Let the parrot choose to approach you, even if it takes weeks. The moment a parrot chooses to step toward you on its own terms, something shifts in its nervous system that no amount of forced handling can ever produce. Your parrot does not hate you. It is speaking to you in the only language it has. The question is whether you are willing to learn to listen.